I feel like those are our street foods, really. What's something else? Oh no, Mutura. I'm crying. Okay, hilarious. I don't think of Mutura as street food, but that's funny because I actually stopped at a place the other day when I was driving alongside the road and ate the most delicious Mutura. So yes, absolutely, I'm obsessed. Hey, I'm WANJIRA LONGAUER, and I'm kicking it today with Vibe Yetu, which you need to check out across all social media boards. You ready? Let's go. It's always such a hard question. My name is WANJIRA LONGAUER. I wear many hats. I'm a creative, an entertainer really, a performer especially, and I tend to be on a stage, so you can find me at Capital FM doing the hip-hop show, hip-hop and R&B show, which is The Hype from Monday through Thursday. On Fridays, it's called Big Bounce Friday. I also act, I also MC, I will be your host at gigs, so don't be afraid to find me, you know, on there doing that. I'm a content creator, and just a wacky person who loves having fun and, you know, maybe edutainment and making sure that people are, you know, learning something, but also feeling good, you know? So yeah. A day in my life on radio. Well, radio is so much more chill than television, which I've also done extensively. And I love radio because I don't have to look like this. Like I can, I don't have to try. So I usually keep it comfy cute. I make sure that I have all my content beforehand since I already know what my show is, you know what I mean, and what it is my listener wants. I know to come in with certain factoids, with certain stories. I have this whole segment called Tata Tea. You know, that's all about making sure you get the tea from, you know, your good old Tata right here, about what's happening with local and international celebs. And also just what is new on the scene in terms of hip hop and music. So I make sure I do all my research beforehand. Meetings definitely tend to be a thing that take up my day, as do emails. And then of course, you know, with content creation, you have to be editing, you know, obviously pre-production and doing the shooting, but also editing, and that could be video or pictures. So, you know, my life tends to be a little all over the place, but I promise that there's structure in the madness. I think the really important thing is to make sure that you have a good idea of what you want to accomplish within your day. So I would find that I would get really overwhelmed, but then I stopped being overwhelmed once I realized, okay, if I'm up early, if I hit the gym, if I make sure I have breakfast by this time and my coffee, now I'm ready to go. What's the first thing on my checklist, my to-do list to, you know, bump off? And so I literally have to do it like that, because otherwise, like most creatives, I'll just be a little all over the place, and then a lot less, let's say, would get done because you're just there stressing over the things you have to do, you know, and you have to be organized during, you know, your emceeing gig or during your radio show, and kind of have an idea of the flow of how you want things to go, right? So I have to make sure always that I just have a clear mind. So make sure I start the day right, do my checklist, and then most of it goes pretty well. I don't know if right now yet, and it could be because I'm very self-critical, if I can say there's a biggest accomplishment as of yet. I have many accomplishments also that I'm quite proud of. What I will say, I now more than ever before have started giving myself a pat on the back about is continued growth. I like that I try. I try new things. It's okay if I mess up. I'm not scared. I'll get up and try again, you know? And even if I have been scared in the past, experience has taught me that there's no need to be scared. We all need to dust our shoulders off and give it another go. So I've loved being on a stage since I was a little itty bitty girl, and I feel so blessed that I get to do what I love. I don't take that for granted. I know not everybody gets that privilege, right? And so I think I really revel in the energy that I get from the different audiences that I'm exposed to and who are exposed to me and how I interact with them. I really, really enjoy that. That for me is very, very fun. And especially because an audience for theater will be a totally different audience for a set, will be a totally different audience for a live gig, right? Like emceeing something, hosting a show. It will be a totally different audience from radio. So, and Instagram, social media, whatever it is, Twitter. So that's really fun, and I really enjoy being able to interact with so many different people and to be my silly self for a living. It's nice. It's so funny how I keep getting asked this question of late. I don't think there is a time I less want to go to work doing any of those things than another time. I'm seldom sick, for example, so I guess like if you're not feeling well or something, that could be it. But I find that my work tends to put me in a better mood than I was in. So if I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna end up having a probably better day, if not end up having a pretty darn good day after I do the work. You know what I'm saying? Which goes again to the energy, the audience, the blessing, if you see it that way. So I have a lot of fun with what I do. So I don't really think there's a time where like, I don't feel like going to work today. It's pretty rare. Yes, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate of therapy, getting help, all those kinds of things. I do it, I love it. You know, I'm human. I have a range of emotions. I'm not just happy all the time, even though it may seem that way. I think what I try and do in my own experiences of getting into funks, getting depressed, getting anxious, you know, any of those things, is I'll just very much try as hard as it can be sometimes to see the glass half full. And that's not always easy, which is why, you know, sometimes you have to seek out your friends or your family or professionals, whatever it may be, or, you know, sit in the sun, whatever's gonna help you. There are different things that are gonna help different people, right? But you know, it's also, as much as I'm on the go and I do a lot of things, I also have time, whether I'm in a funk or I'm even in a really great place, to just, you know, take my time, do me, be with my people, be with myself. I love my own company, you know what I'm saying? And just recharge, because that's really important, especially when you want to avoid funks. Yeah, definitely. I love to be active. So I love hikes, I love going out, I love eating a lot. So I'm a really big eater. My mom always says that other people eat to live and I live to eat. So if that gives you any idea of how much I love food. I also, you know, will enjoy and I went to a wine tasting the other day actually for work, and that was super epic. So I really enjoyed that and found, I love discovering places within Nairobi. This was a little place in Karen. I had no idea it existed. So yeah, shout out to the Wine Box, because that was dope. So I also want to start, I found a friend doing a pottery class and I was so impressed by that. I found out about these Nairobi art classes that you can take. It could be pottery, mosaic, acrylic paints, graphic design. So I know I definitely want to get my hands dirty with some pottery. So yeah, those kind of things are all kind of stuff that I love. And I love swimming. I love swimming. I love being at the ocean, at the coast. I love travel. Those are all things I love to do in my free time. One of my most memorable days on radio was saying goodbye. I left Capital FM, where I currently work, in 2018 to pursue a dream I had of moving to Los Angeles. And I was born and raised in New York. I came to Nairobi in 2014 is when I moved here. And sometime around mid-2018, I left. And I remember feeling so emotional that day. And it was really weird because I had wanted to leave, it was my own accord, but I remember just feeling and it was the first time I welled up on radio. And I was just like, if I had pearls, I would have been clutching them because I was real sad. But yeah, that was one of my most memorable times on radio. Oh, another really memorable time was getting back on radio, December 2020, because they asked me back when I ended up coming back here in the panoramic, as everyone's jokingly calling it. But yeah, so those are two of my most memorable times on radio amongst. But I've had a lot of gems, a lot of fun with people. A lot of awkward interviews too. Here and there they happen. Yeah.
I love to put you on the spot.
Okay. I'm please don't make me name names, but there was somebody who once came on with this really affected accent. It was a Kenyan person, but they had put on this this attempt, I think, it felt like to sound either English or European or something. And it's the cameraman laughing in the background for me. But yeah, it was so harsh, you know? And you could just tell, you know, human beings, we know energy, we know when something's organic or it's forced, and it was just very forced, and I was like, what is happening here? So yes, there's some interesting times that we have on radio, but you can't see them, you can't see them. That's the beauty of it. Definitely. I have been inspired by a lot of greats, you know, and that could be people who came before me long ago, like Charlie Chaplin, who I grew up watching, a silent movie actor. It could be, you know, Janet Jackson. So I've been inspired by people in many, you know, who obviously is a musician, an incredible dancer and everything, JJ all day. But, you know, I mean, Madonna, you know, there are so many different, Halle Berry, there are so many different people, and kinds of people. My mom is very, very theatrical, very, very funny, has great wit and candor. You know, or great wit that she delivers with candor, and it's you know, she's a lot of fun, and she loves to sing and perform, and you know, she's a big personality. So I think I was always also growing up around creatives. My parents are creatives, either professionally or in one way or another. That I always knew I wanted to be on the stage. You know, I was like that really annoying kid after dinner that was like, okay, now listen to my song, you know. But like I needed that audience, you know. But it helped. No one discouraged me. So I think that's how I was able to grow my confidence on a stage. Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that I would say that I want to do that I don't think yet I'm recognized for. I think that sometimes in Kenyan media things are a bit streamlined. I think also there can be a bit of a box that people are put in, and that can be really frustrating because when you are somebody who wears many hats and knows you can do many things, you want to be able to have access across the board, or at least be given a chance to try. I mean, let me fail and you tell me I'm miserable and you want no part of me, you know what I mean? But I think sometimes finding the opportunity, and I don't think this is just me, I would say that this is also other Kenyan media personalities and artists in general. Sometimes it just feels like, oh no, but you're that, so you'll be that and that alone. And I think it's now that things are starting to change for me when it comes to that, which is interesting. People think my birthmark is, either a tattoo because tattoo culture has become really popular, or they think that it's makeup and I've done it to stand out and be different. Now, I did makeup for you today, but I do not necessarily wear makeup every day at all. So I'm like the laziest. So I'm just like, people think I wear makeup every day to be different. That's like a lot, you know? But yeah, my birthmark has been something that, it's so a part of me. I totally forget I have it until like now when you're like, you know, 99% of people ask, I'm like, it's gonna be my birthmark, ain't it? So yeah, but I totally forget it's there. I was really lucky, never teased as a kid for it. Most people are just like, oh snap, that's dope, you know, and move on. So it's there. I think it's never blocked me, thankfully, from anything on stage. No one's ever, you know, even in Los Angeles, I mean, it never was an issue anywhere I went. So I think that's why I forget about it. I think if it was an issue, I would feel, you know, when you feel bad about something, you'll remember it and feel self-conscious, I suppose, about it. But I forget it's there. Yeah. But I love it. I'm happy about it.
It looks pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. What would I tell younger Wanjira? Tulia, it's gonna be okay. My mom calls me Kagoro, which means leg in Kikuyu, because I'm like always like going somewhere, and even my name, Wanjira, means of the road. So I think I'm always just in a hurry. Sometimes I try and rush the process, and I think I would just be like, calm down. You know what I mean? There's a process for everything, and the way your process is going to unfold and continues to unfold is very beautiful. Just trust that process, and also be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, be patient. you know? It will all work out. You cannot rush the process. It's so annoying. I even hate saying that out loud, but you cannot rush the process. I have to say it even to now Wanjira, but I would say it to little Wanjira as well.
Good advice.
That's what everyone says, right? So I would say it's edutainment, which is kind of what I touched on earlier. I'm entertaining. I'm also definitely trying to inform you about stuff. The stuff could be anything, from science to, you know, entertainment, and so on and so forth. Things that I guess intrigue me and I find also intrigue my listener. When it comes to interviews, I have a very kind of casual style, and I like to make it informal. I like for my interviewee to feel like we're just having a conversation. And so I will also ask offbeat questions, especially for those artists who are more well-known, as opposed to, you know, asking the cut and dry, very obvious thing, right? Because you may not know what, you know, someone's, you know, I had Brock Jacuzzi on the other day and he was saying who he absolutely loves working with and who he can't stand working with. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that, you know what I mean? As opposed to, okay, rigid questions or more obvious questions. You know what I mean? I can't even think of one right now, but it's like, I want to know what your favorite color is. You know what I mean? And you know, if it had any inspiration in your album, like that kind of stuff, or what your mood was at the time, and so on and so forth, that kind of thing. So I guess, yeah, it depends on if I have an interviewee or if I'm straight chilling. My favorite color is, I see what you did there. My favorite color is red for show. I love red. It might be because I'm a Sagittarius and we're a fire symbol, but I love red. It's so beautiful. I don't have a thing of red on right now, do I? Not a thing. All right. I promise it's my favorite color, though. Uh-huh. Yes, I remember being very nervous in a way because I started overthinking. And I remember thinking, ironically, there's a part of me that's extremely private, even though, you know, I put a lot on social media and this and that and da-da. I think it's really important to maintain your privacy. And I'll never forget that Chow, who trained me for radio, who is still currently on Capitol, she watched me on my first day and she said, don't worry. You know, you're gonna get the hang of it. First of all, either you got it or you don't, and you got it. But, you know, you're still a little tense. And just loosen up a little bit. Don't worry about overexposing yourself. You're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And I remember just being, you know, thinking, oh my God, millions of people are listening to me right now, all over the world. And then, what if I say the wrong thing? And what if I reveal too much? And you know, and I didn't sound so as nervous as I probably was when I was overthinking for a moment. But I had studied radio. It was one thing to do it in class. It was a whole nother to now apply it seriously, you know, where you know you're on like a serious broadcast as well. In a whole other country. I hadn't lived in Kenya very long. So it was a lot to take in. But I trusted the process. And upon doing that, it did start to organically flow. And then it was good. Then it was all right. But I remember that first day, Chow and maybe a few others in the office just being like, don't worry, it's gonna be all right. So yeah. Wow, I can't remember my first interview per se, but I know I wasn't really, I think I was a little nervous, but not that nervous, because talking to people has always been very easy for me. You know, I think also the thing that made radio un petit peu nerve-wracking was that I couldn't see who was listening. It's very different when I have someone there and I can bounce off of you, I can feel your energy, I can, you know what I mean? But it was also a little trippy to not see who I'm talking to, you know? They say radio is theater of the mind, so it's a completely different thing. But in interview, I'm like, okay, now we're together, right? So like, that's dope, yeah. The biggest role I've landed in acting, in recent years, well, I think one of the coolest was on on the YouTube series The Yard. That was immensely popular, it did really well, it won a bunch of international awards, and we shot that in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And even as recently as 2020, we were doing a round of media tours about it. And it was cool because I came on for what was supposed to be just, I don't know, a few lines. And then the guys loved me, so they created, like, they decided, okay, no, we need to make, like, your role meatier. So I think that was really cool. When I was in LA, I did some backup work for, not me forgetting the name of it. This one with Tracy Ellis Ross, Blackish. And so that was really cool, and seeing, you know, everybody on set and, like, totally being starstruck, which is really rare for me. Even growing up in New York where you see celebs all the time, but I'm just like, Tracy Ellis Ross. And so, like, yeah, that was really, really cool. And you know, the grandma, whose name escapes me now, but she's a fantastic actress who I really respect. Am I allowed to look up her name really quickly? Because I really love her. Yeah? What's her name? And I literally just saw her on Instagram, actually. So I'm like, what am I forgetting now? Yes, Jennifer Lewis. Yes, Jennifer Lewis. So I you know, Jennifer Lewis and Tracy Ellis Ross in particular is who I was like fangirling over, but totally in my head I was acting really, really casual and pretending like I'm not, you know, like staring at them, even though I was like, and it was really funny because Jennifer Lewis was like, oh, look at her. Girl, you better get on with your bad self. And I was just like, so it was so much fun. So that was a cool moment in one of my little LA stories. Yeah, so yeah, that was some funky stuff as well. Did I answer your question? I'm so sorry. As I ramble, as I'm like here, like daydreaming, like Okay. Okay, there are pros and cons to everything and every place. There is no Garden of Eden. You will live happily if you are getting what you want and need in the place that you are living. In my case, I was blessed enough to choose. Again, not you know, a thing everybody gets to have, a privilege that everybody gets to have per se, of course, right? But I really love Kenya. A lot of people ask me why I live here. They are Kenyans. And I'm like, I'm happy here. I get what I want and what I need here. I love Kenyan people. I love the country. You know, physically, I love how it ebbs and flows. I love the creative space here. And I do love being a part of something that is still very much growing as opposed to being totally set and settled. You know what I mean? We have a right to complain. There's plenty to complain about, but you know, you're looking at the US now, right? There's plenty to complain about over there too. So I guess it's just a time in the world, especially now, where there's plenty to complain about all around. So I choose the 254. That's really hard. You're like, and I never get to leave?
No, you can leave.
Oh,
Just
it's my base or something? I think coast. I'm very in love with Lamu for visiting, but I think if I wanted to like live somewhere, it would be probably Watamu or Kilifi or something. I have the greatest reverence for the ocean and water in general, well, large bodies of water, not like one in a glass, and I would love that to be my view, or to be like the thing I walk by, or to be swimming. I told you I love swimming. So I think for me, it would be, yeah, somewhere in coast, something like that. Yeah, probably North Coast. I have this obsession with biryani. Yeah, so I just love when they make you like that Swahili biryani. It's so good. I also am obsessed with seafood. So fresh seafood is easy for me. Like I could be a pescatarian, readily, as much as I love nyama and stuff. Yeah. Street food? I mean, who hasn't had, you know, like your sausage, your egg, like kachumbari? Yeah. I guess mayai pasua, like all that stuff is always dope. I'm trying to think of another street food that I really like. I feel like those are our street foods, really. What's something else? Oh no, mutura. I'm Okay, hilarious. I don't think of Mutura as street food, but that's funny because I actually stopped at a place the other day when I was driving alongside the road and ate the most delicious Mutura. So yes, absolutely, I'm obsessed. That's why it'd be hard to be a full pescatarian because I'm like, Mutura? Yeah. I think I'd want people to remember me for, I'd want people to remember me for making them smile, making them laugh, teaching them something, like just being a really good at my job. I would also like people to remember me for giving back, doing something for the community, doing something for others, that kind of thing. I like helpfulness. I think the world is a happier place when we're helping each other, and it can be in very small ways. It can be in very big ways.